Hello and welcome to day 24 of Vlogmas, which can only mean it's Christmas Eve, so I'm hoping you are feeling lovely and festive. I'm going to make a table centrepiece for our table for Christmas dinner tomorrow, and I'm going to go foam free. Now, as I'm going to go foam free, I'm also going to go water free. I don't know about you, but if I make a lovely centrepiece for my table, it looks absolutely gorgeous. By the time you've got all your plates, cutlery, serving dishes and whatever on your table, there isn't really any room left for the flower arrangement. So I want to be able to have the table looking beautiful and then have the option of moving the flower arrangement off the table in order to make more space for the food. And if I go foam free, I run the risk, if I've got water in my container, it's going to slop everywhere and ruin a very nice tablecloth. So as I'm going to be using only festive greenery, evergreen greenery that is quite robust, I'm happy that it's going to survive long enough to be enjoyed without actually being in water. And when I've made my arrangement, I will leave it outdoors rather than letting it dry out too quickly in the warmth of my dining room. So come with me as I build a festive flower arrangement, rather bizarrely using a loaf tin from my kitchen. So as with all flower arrangements, it's a matter of getting the mechanics right. So what I've got in front of me are my sturdy pair of scissors, and this is indeed my loaf tin. And because I'm going foam free, I still need my flowers to lock into something to hold them in place. And I say flowers, I'm making a flower arrangement, but there are going to be no flowers at all. I'm going to be using lots of greenery I've picked from my garden. So putting the chicken wire inside the container, and because I don't want it to move around, I am going to use some of the pot tape or anchor tape just to hold it down and securely in place. So that's stage one, fixing your mechanics. Now onto the greenery. I'm going to start off with some conifer. It's got these lovely textural, what look like mini pine cones in. It's quite likely though that these are going to shed a little bit on my table, so I will need to make sure once I've got my arrangement in place that I do brush around just to pick up the crumbs which will be left. So it's quite nice and got nice drape over the side. So what I do is to measure up and see how much drapage I want according to how much space I got on the table, so I can cut this down a little bit and then take off the stems, the side shoots. And normally I do this so they didn't sit in the water, but really I just want to make sure that everything locks tightly together and isn't going to get too congested. And then if I'm happy with that, I then get another piece of greenery and measure it against the first one for length and put it in the other side. And then I'll fill in with the offcuts. And making sure that everything drapes over the edge of the container. So although it's not a plastic dish that normally you see flower arrangements in, I don't want it to be the main feature. I want the eye to be drawn to the festive greens, which as I'm using them are giving off a really lovely scent. For some contrast, I've got some of the buried ivy, called buried ivy because it's got the berries on the end, and again just be careful, they look lovely, almost like blueberries. So if you have young children around who might be tempted to eat them, probably anything with berries on isn't a particularly good idea. And the heads on the buried ivy are quite heavy, so they will naturally drape over the edge of your container. I like using contrasting greenery, so there's lovely, lush, leathery leaves that are almost diamond shaped, and they contrast really well with the feathery conifer. And to add some bulk, texture, a different look, I'm going to be using some of the sequoia fern as well. I don't know if you remember from yesterday's, or was it yesterday? I think perhaps it was a couple of days ago when I arranged my sugared apples in my fruit bowl, wooden fruit bowl. I used some of this greenery. So just letting it drape out over the edges. I'm trying to make sure the back and the front look the same, because this arrangement will be seen from both sides of the table. So it's not a true mirror image, I'm just aiming for it to look balanced. So whatever I put in the front, I'm also putting in the back. Let's clear the decks a little bit. Oh, I've also found some sticks. Quite a strange thing to put into a Christmas flower arrangement, but I like the fact that it's just coming out into buds, so it's like promise that spring will be around the corner very soon. And sadly, we don't have a fresh Christmas tree this year, and I did try and buy some blue spruce from the florist. But they, understandably enough, weren't willing to sell me any because they wanted it for their own arrangements for their customers. I have got some yew here, which is a good alternative, so it just brings that quintessential Christmassy look to my arrangement. And of course I could add in my sugared fruit, or if I had baubles that I haven't put up on the tree yet, they would all nestle quite nicely in there as well. But I think as a basic arrangement I could certainly be happy to have that on my table as a centrepiece. And what I might do, I've got some leaf shine, so I might spray that on some, particularly on the ivy leaves, just to give them a little bit more of a gloss. So let's have a touch of leaf shine. A different type of buried ivy here. I might put a stem of that right up in the middle. Shine those leaves too. And I've picked these seed heads. I'm wondering about adding in some of those. And if you wanted to, you could just spray the sticks or any seed heads, perhaps copper, gold or silver, just for that added finishing touch to tie in with the colour scheme that you've chosen this year. So that brings me to the end of Vlogmas 2021. Thank you so much for joining me. Let me know in the comments whether you're planning to make a foam-free, water-free evergreen centrepiece for your Christmas table. That's all from me for now, and I'll see you next year.